Happy holidays, happy Christmas. If you like Christ and think that he was born a baby around this time, or if you're a cynical scientist, you might think that he was born in the summertime. Then why do we celebrate Christmas in December time? Why is Christmas given the first syllable Christ? That's 'cause Jesus was born. He was born around a merry fucking Christmas to you. Come on, let's be merry, have a lot of drink, and then listen to a podcast. This is a podcast that you're listening to. Merry fucking Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hey, salmon skins, and welcome to the Christmas edition of Edwin, Salmon of Knowledge. Do people eat large salmons at Christmas time? No, they don't. They eat turkeys, and I think that should change. I think people should be eating giant salmons that have been genetically modified in a special salmon farm. And everyone should be having a lovely fillet of salmon, a lovely giblet of salmon. A salmon darn. Darns for everyone. Would you like another darn, Uncle Freddy? No, because I'm not your uncle. What the hell are you doing here? Get out. So, Merry Thingmas. I'd like to say Thingmas. I'd like to say Happy Christmas. Everyone says Happy Christmas, but I keep saying Merry Christmas. And Christmas time, ding-a-ling, merry thing at Christmas time. If you believe in Christmas things. I shouldn't be singing over the Christmas jazz dinner music track that I found on YouTube. That will probably land me in hot copyright water, like a shitty hot dog, but a Christmas hot dog. But I don't know what you guys say. I say Merry Christmas. I think it's an Irish thing to say Happy Christmas, but Happy Christmas doesn't sound as good to me. Maybe it's because I've been completely Americanized by the whole Christmas American influence of, like Santa Claus, the Coca-Cola, and blah, 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 blah. So, guys, listen. Let's get to it. Christmas time, it's all about the snacks. That's right, I said snacks. And now, I'm going to give you my top 10 Christmas snacks. Let's sort it out. For once and for all, what are the best ones? So, this is not a fully comprehensive list. This is just my top 10 favorite things that I like to eat in order of deliciousness. At number 10, bottom of the list, milk chocolate truffles. Yes, I remember a number of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, a Christmas Day treat. There was a box of truffles. Now, no one had actually eaten any of the truffles, which is another reason why it's number 10 on this list. So I started digging into the truffles, and lo and behold, I went partially blind for a number of hours. So that's number 10, truffles. Be careful, don't overindulge. Number 9, Christmas pudding. Yes, Christmas pudding is the sort of thing that ferments and has to sit in someone's press for a number of months. You have to sort of plan it beforehand. It seems very archaic, very old-fashioned. It seems like something little Charlie Dickens would have had for Christmas if he didn't grow up in a workhouse. I guess the only good thing with the Christmas pudding is that you can light it on fire. So there's a bit of theatrics to your Christmas experience. But there's fruit in there, and it just edges into being slightly good for you. And you don't want that. You don't want that. That's obviously not. It's covered in brandy butter and set on fire. Like you do with some of your relations you don't like. Oh, little joke there. So, number 8 is roses. Yes, roses chocolates, which have dipped considerably over the years. One of the major bugbears with the roses selection of chocolates is that they still leave in the ones that nobody likes. The orange, the strawberry one, and the coffee cream. Now, personally, I kind of like the coffee cream. I just like coffee in general. I just like anything to do with coffee is good in my book. But at the same time, roses they've never shaken it up. They've never shaken it up. So, honorable mention goes to USA Biscuits, which normally would be in the number 7 spot. But USA Biscuits has been kind of overshadowing a more worthy biscuit contender, which often gets overlooked. Actually, I didn't mean to say biscuit contender. This is not a biscuit. This is Quality Street. Yes, Quality Street. Better than USA Biscuits. So that occupies the number 7 spot. Number 6 and number 5 are basically the same. Celebrations and Heroes, which, to be honest, are the worst named collection of delicious chocolate treats that you would think of. Personally, I like Heroes because they don't have bounties in them. But they do have fudge bars, and fudge bars are not great either. They're a bit vanilla, even though they don't have the flavor of vanilla. They just have the flavor of a fudge. I really sound like I'm on the radio now. So, we're in the top 5. We're actually beyond the top 5 because we're number 4. So the top 4, gingerbread men. Now, I know there has been an outcry on the internet, which means a tiny percentage of the population seem to give a shit about this. But gingerbread men for so long, obviously a delicious yet terrifying reminder of the patriarchy at work. So in some corners of the world, in some sections of the planet, gingerbread men have been changed to gingerbread people. But they've always been men. And look, they're not real men. They're just biscuits with ginger in them. Now, biscuits are probably the worst thing you can eat. They're full of sugar. They may bring on diabetes, early onset diabetes if you are susceptible to that. However, there's ginger in them, and ginger is very good for you. So that's why they've made it to number 4. Number 3 is minced pies. Now, when I was younger, and up until my mid-20s, I think, so I wasn't even that young, I used to think that mince pies were made from minced meat. And they would put minced meat in a little short crust pastry pie, like a mini pork pie or something. And when people would open them and eat them, I'd never get close enough to smell them, or else I just didn't bother smelling them because they looked like they were full of meat, and that was disgusting to me. It's like the look of rhubarb used to disgust me when I was a child. When it was boiled and stuff, it looked like kind of melted brains and veins. And I was like, I don't want to eat that thing that looks like that. And it was the same with mince pies. They just looked awful. It's like when my older brother, Julian, Happy New Year, Julian, he used to eat crunchy peanut butter on sandwiches when he was younger. And he used to joke at me and say it was a scutter sandwich, which is the most country thing I think he's ever done in his life. Oh, look at me, I'm eating a scutter sandwich. A sandwich made of scutter. Scutter being the expression, culture expression for shite. Look at that shite sandwich. And he used to pretend that he was eating shit to disgust me, pretty much. I think that was the reason. But yeah, but then years later, the last couple of years, I've been eating mince pies. And they're nice, especially a little bit warm with cream. So, number 2, shortbread biscuits. Yes, shortbread. Wonderful. It's a Scottish tradition to have shortbread around Christmas and New Year's. I think they taste even better when they're in the shape of a Christmas tree or a Christmas parcel or anything, like a snowflake. But each shortbread snowflake biscuit has to look differently because that's how snowflakes work. Now, my number 1 is... This is my own top 10 list, guys. You might not agree with me. You might have never even considered this one. But I'm talking about Ferrero Rocher. Oh, but not the regular Ferrero Rochers. Oh yeah, they're in there. I'm talking about the selection box of Ferrero Rochers. You can get a tiny plastic pyramid that have the regular Ferrero Rochers, nut, chocolate, crispy. Then they have the dark ones, same thing, except with dark chocolate. And then they have the Raffaellos, which are coconutty, white chocolate cream. And they're nice. It's got something for everyone. It doesn't have any orange ones. It doesn't have any strawberry ones. It doesn't have any... I mean, it has coconut ones, but they're not Bounty. They're much, much classier. The sort of thing ambassadors have. And guys, that is my number 1 pick for the thing that I like to eat at Christmas. And I haven't eaten a single one of those. I have the cookies here beside me. There's the cookies in the bag. I have a box of Heroes, which came with a game, which I didn't think that Heroes came with. Now, crackers obviously come with games and stuff. The crackers I got this year, I think I got mid-level Marks and Spencer's crackers. I just assumed that all of the Marks and Spencer's crackers would be like pretty good. Now, they had a box of like 12 crackers that were reasonably enough priced, and when I looked to see what was in them, I realized that it was a fill your own cracker. And I thought, that's ridiculous. That just means I have to buy more stuff to put in these crackers. Maybe if you were proposing to someone on Christmas Day and that would have been an option, so you could put the ring in there or something like that. But I got crackers that had the little hearts, terrible jokes. I can't even remember them. They're so bad. Christmas jokes in crackers, I blocked them completely from my memory. But they had origami. They had like a little origami thing with instructions, and they're sort of difficult to do. And I kind of prefer the Heroes game, which is, the same game that you can play that you don't need cards for, but they have provided the cards. So you write a famous person's name and you put it on your forehead, and then you have to guess or you put it on someone else's forehead, sorry. So everyone writes a name down, and then you swap them around, and you stick one on someone else, they stick one on you, and then you're Warwick Davis, and you have to guess who you are based on how people treat you. I guess if you're Warwick Davis, everyone would just stand up and look straight down at you, and then you might think you're Shirley Temple or someone like that. So someone short of stature, yet large of charisma. Large of charisma. The new fragrance by Warwick Davis. Smell like a willow. If you don't know who Warwick Davis is, then shame on you. Well, actually, no, not shame. Warwick Davis is a diminutive actor who has played Wicket, the Ewok, when he was 12 years old, I think. And he also played Willow. And he'll be playing Willow again in the new Willow series coming from Lucasfilm, because any old IP is good IP. Any IP, old any IP is good IP. Shiny shoes, any IP, shiny shoes, and look at the IP. It's the IP song, sung by Manny, Shoeshine Boy. No, that game, you don't need cards for it, you know. And also, you don't, you ask questions and you get yes or no answers, and then you figure out who you are. It's not like, you have Will Smith and you don't realize it, and everyone's telling you how great Independence Day was. And why haven't you made a good film like Independence Day since then? And why did you turn down Django Unchained, you idiot? And things like that. And then eventually you go, oh, right, I'm Will Smith. What's going on with you and your wife, Will? You can't say Will. You can't say the actual name. So there you go, guys. That's my definitive list of games you can play. That one game. We like to play Switch, which has different names. It's a very basic card game. I played it with my younger brother Johnny, who came over from Berlin. Happy New Year, Johnny. He was in Berlin last night. There was lots of fireworks going off. I was there for 2019, Christmas and New Year's, and people just light fireworks on the street. There's fireworks flying all over the place. And it's quite dangerous. And if you're highly inebriated, it can be quite frightening. If you're a highly inebriated dog, it's even more terrifying. But I was only one of those things. Christmas in Berlin. Christmas in Berlin. So, not this year. But unfortunately, because my older brother Julian and his wife Sinead, hi Jules, hi Sinead, and their children, Donica, Killian, and Roisin, hi guys. Unfortunately, the household in Galway, where they live, and Julian was expecting to have a number of in-laws down for Christmas Day, for Christmas dinner. And then he got tested positive for COVID, antigen test, because PCR tests are, you couldn't even get one if you asked Santa Claus for one this holiday season. You just can't get an antigen test. So, well, in Dublin you can't. So himself and Roisin, the youngest, and Sinead all tested positive, had PCR tests to confirm, and they had to not have anyone down for Christmas. And Johnny couldn't go see Julian, so Johnny came home. He only saw me and our parents. Oh, and Niall and Martin and Mary. But Martin and Mary had already had COVID, and Niall had tested negative. Because lots of responsible people are testing themselves every day, making sure that they're clean of COVID, and meeting up, being responsible. So Christmas Eve, in this household, Cara was feeling a little bit poorly, so she did an antigen test, and it came up positive. So she went, shit. And she took another one, and that also came up positive. So I did one. Everyone in the house did one, and we were all negative. But I figured, it's in there gestating. And we did one on Luke as well. And if you ever try and stick something up a 6-month-old baby's nose, if you're one of those people, I mean, first off, what are you at? Why are you doing that in the first place? It's a bit dodgy. Second off, you'll know, you fucking weirdo, how difficult that is and how horrible it is for the baby. And Luke was not happy at all, but look, we had to do it. And he tasted negative. So, unfortunately, Cara had to isolate in the room, and then I was left minding the baby for 4 days until I tested positive, and then we could share the baby duties. And Luke eventually tested negative, and then he tested positive. And when you do the antigen test and the drip, 2 drops, 3 drops, full, thank you very much, Baba Black Sheep, have you any antigen tests? Have you any PCR fucking tests is what I really want to know. You don't, you're just a sheep in a rhyme, that's fine, thank you very much, thank you for your service. And we drip, drip, drip. And when he tested positive, it came up like my 2 tests were a faint line across the T, which is still a positive test. And I had 2 of those faint lines. But Luke's, the T line filled up, a nice red line, thick red line, before the C line even came up. So we were kind of worried because you don't know. But we're all vaccinated in this house and we're all boosted. I got boosted a couple of days before Christmas, as did Cara. And Luke would have natural antibodies through in utero antibodies, because Cara got her first shot when she was pregnant. So then we had to deal with a COVID Christmas, where Christmas Day was Luke's first Christmas, and Cara had to watch him opening presents. Well, watch me opening presents for him on his behalf as his representative through a phone screen, and that was a bit shit. But look, the whole Christmas has been compromised for many people. We were supposed to have a couple of people over. Cara's brother Ronan, his wife Aoife. Hey guys, Happy New Year. So it was Neil, Tom, myself, and Luke on Christmas Day. And we didn't even eat turkey because Cara had ordered from, and I'll name and shame him, Super Valu. And I know it's a busy time of year. There's lots of people ordering food, getting food in, and maybe you're dropping the ball on a couple of things. But we ordered a turkey crown because a large turkey was insufficient. Now we were going to go to the shops on Christmas Eve and get like a cheap half price turkey in Tesco or Super Valu or somewhere. But then because Cara tested positive, we're dealing with that, and it was kind of upsetting, and we're all, okay, what are we going to do? We have to restrict our movements. I have left the house a couple of times under cover of darkness through the tunnel, and I make sure I stick a little mirror out, Great Escape style, and rotate it around to see if anyone is there, and no one's there. So off I go. So we had a nice Christmas, besides everyone having COVID. That seems to be the case. I've just heard of so many people getting it now. I went a long time without getting it, and I did feel a little bit fluish, a little bit tired, but other than that, I feel pretty good, as does Cara, and more importantly, as does Luke. He doesn't appear to have any kind of effect, if this indeed is the Omicron variant of the virus. And if it is, then that's a good thing, I guess, that it's not as bad as we thought it was. But when? Quando? When will this end, guys? I don't know. All I know is I've been doing this podcast for over 100 episodes now, and I know some of you have been listening since the very beginning. Kevin, Leah, Jim from Scotland, Neil. Thank you so much. Thank you to my patrons, Terry, Ryan, my new patron, and the rest. If you want to become a patron of Edwin Salmon of Knowledge, you can go to Edwin Salmon of Knowledge on Patreon, and for €5 a month, which is less than the price of a pint now in COVID times, you can get all the extra episodes, all the extra writings. You can get early episodes of the Cine Stream Club, uncut, and you'll be getting some video stuff. And you'll be getting early episodes of my spin-off podcast, which is going to be about movies, specifically awards for movies. There's a little clue for you. But before we go into my review of the year, let's take a little break. And thank you. We'll see you after this. So, guys, welcome back. It has been a crazy year. It's been a great year if you are Italian. Now, obviously, there's been some downsides to being Italian. Very high COVID infections in Italy. But also, you won the Eurovision Song Contest with a song that I've never heard and probably never will hear. But apart from that, you won the Euro football championships, the Euros as they're known, beating England, the football team that everybody loves to hate, except the English, because it's their team. Yes, I quite enjoyed Italy beating England because we had a betting pool in the household here with the in-laws, and Cara got Italy. I got one of the first teams that got knocked out, Switzerland or Luxembourg or the Faroe Islands, one of those teams. I don't know if any of those teams were actually in the Euros. But Cara got Italy, and she was like, "Oh, is that good?" And we were like, "Yeah, that's really good. You could be a winner at chicken dinner." And indeed she did win. Now, the biggest win for Italy this year has been, without a doubt, the Great British Bake Off. Who knew that Giuseppe, a lovely Italian man who kind of looked like the forgotten Mario brother. There's Mario, there's Luigi Mario, and now there's Giuseppe Mario. And he came to life and baked delicious things. So, is it fair that an Italian wins the Great British Bake Off? I hear some fucking idiots on Twitter say, "Yes, you dolts." It's perfectly acceptable. Well done, Giuseppe. Even though my favourite, and from the very beginning, I had him clocked as a contender. And indeed he was. He won the first 2-star bakers, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, and that was Jurgen. Jurgen was should have been in the final, in my opinion. There's always a bit of controversy over who gets in. It was a bit of a shame that he, in the semi-final, everyone else got a handshake and he didn't, even though it seemed like he deserved it. But I guess, you can't give a handshake to 100% of the contestants. Maybe that's... Look, I'm trying to get into the mindset of Paul Hollywood. I'm trying to do what they did in that Jennifer Lopez movie, The Cell. I'm trying to do what Jennifer Lopez did in the movie The Cell. I'm trying to get into the brain and figure out what makes Paul Hollywood shake someone's hand. But I can't do it. I just can't stay. You can't stay in there too long or you'll go mad. It's like The Cell. I don't know, I did that kind of weird Scottish accent. Billy Connolly's not in The Cell. "You've got to go in and find out what's going on inside the killer's brain, Jennifer Lopez." "I don't want to do that." "That's not how you sound, Jennifer Lopez." "Didn't you see something with Jennifer Lopez this year, Ed?" "I did, Billy." Why don't you talk about that?" I will, okay. Yeah, my review of the year. That was my review of pop culture and current events. Told through the trilogy of wins for Italy. But I did watch a movie this year that has been out for a number of years. It's not a this year's movie. It's just something I watched this year, okay? And by this year, I mean last year. I mean 2021, because it's now 2022. All right, I get it. Oh, God. Remember when you were in school? Hey, remember this, guys? Remember space hoppers? Hopping around like you were a Martian, hopping around on Mars on an inflatable human head. Because that's what they do for fun on Mars, guys. Oh, good old New Year's Day laughter. But when you'd go back from school, guys, remember after the Christmas break and the New Year's break, and you'd forget, you'd write about 50 times the previous year, forgetting that it was indeed the new year. Anyway, the movie that Billy Connolly was referring to was Hustlers. Oh, yeah, all right, Hustlers. Oh, great wee jobby of a film. Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Hustlers, it kind of had a sort of a Steven Soderbergh kind of feel to it, based on a true story where a bunch of exotic dancers led by Jennifer Lopez in a, quite frankly, very incredibly physical performance. She has such a great physical presence, and she's 50 or something. She's in fantastic shape, great dancer. Of course, she started off as a dancer on a show called In Living Color. She was just like a backup dancer, and then she went on to movie stardom. But she's very good, very charismatic as the ringleader of this group of exotic dancers slash strippers slash pole jockeys, and they end up drugging a bunch of high-rolling Wall Street guys after the 2008 financial crash. A lot of them find themselves out of jobs and stuff, and lose their savings, and then the kind of main character, sort of Henry Hill character. It's kind of like Goodfellas with strippers, in a way. It's based on a true story, and it's about people going, fuck it, let's scalp these rich boys, let's take what we want, and just live the life, get our Gucci bags and our DNKY pajamas, and have a crazy Christmas party. Because they do at one point. It's that classic thing of this Asian American actor who comes in as a stripper, and she's kind of unsure of herself, and she makes friends with Jennifer Lopez, and then the financial crash happens, and they lose kind of track of each other, and it's told through Julia Stiles plays an investigator journalist, and she's like kind of talking to her in the present day, because they got busted for fraud and theft, basically. So they'd take these high-rolling men out and drug them with a combination of, I think, like ketamine to make them forget, and MDMA to keep them awake. And early on, when they do drug one of the men, he kind of looks like he's dead, and no amount of erotic dancing will revive him. But it's very much the sort of, rags to riches. Things are shit, then everything's going great, and there's like one scene where it's like peak, everything's great. And in Goodfellas, it's a Christmas thing as well. It's when De Niro's like, don't spend too much, be smart with it. Don't go in and buy the biggest fucking Christmas tree that they have. Cut to, I bought the biggest Christmas tree they got. And it's a big silver Christmas tree. Classy, because Henry Hill was a classy guy. And it's very similar in Hustlers. They have this big mad Christmas party where they're buying each other really expensive designer stuff, and they're having like the best time. And I remember watching it thinking, wow, everything's going great. Nothing bad's ever going to happen to these guys. But then it all goes to shit. But it's very entertaining. It's up on Netflix. Check it out. I also managed to watch Dune, the big movie, this year. Very good. If you like intelligent sci-fi that demands to be seen on the biggest screen, then watch that. I didn't see the Spider-Man movie or the James Bond movie, but I know what happens in the James Bond movie. I kind of guessed myself at what was going to happen to James Bond, but I have not seen it yet. Now, we did watch, myself and Cara watched Don't Look Up, the Judd Apatow produced I keep saying Judd Apatow. Adam McKay. Sorry, Adam McKay. You're separate from Judd Apatow, but of a similar vein in that Judd Apatow made very funny comedies, and then the comedies started to get more serious and kind of longer, and became this mishmash of old school Woody Allen almost style character comedy mixed with improv linorama stuff from his stable of players. And Don't Look Up, of a similar, even though I have to say Step Brothers is a classic movie, a genius movie, just destined to be a cult comedy. I love it. Anchorman, the first Anchorman, genius. Second one, not so much. Although the second Anchorman movie is kind of making joke. It is making joke. It is how you say comedy joke thing. No, it's making fun of the 24-hour rolling news thing. Making comment upon it. And The Other Guys was good, funny. And then at the end of The Other Guys, there's this whole thing about prime loans and the banking system and how the financial crash happened. In the end credits of a comedy, because that was kind of the fraud that was going on. And obviously Adam McKay is very invested in and interested in topics like that, so he went on to make The Big Short, which I tried to watch but I couldn't get through it. I thought it was a little bit too kind of aware of itself and too sort of pandering, and a little bit kind of like, oh, isn't that, like people are saying, isn't it clever to have like a sexy actress in a bath tell you about financial stuff? And I was like, no, that's patronizing. Just fucking tell me, or tell me in an interesting way. Like Inside Job, is that the name of it? Inside Job. It's narrated by Matt Damon. It's a documentary about how the financial crash happened, and it's gripping and fascinating and doesn't have any jokes. And Matt Damon isn't in a hot tub with a six-pack drinking a Budweiser telling you about prime loans and all that jazz. So I didn't see all of that. I heard Vice just through people who'd seen it. Vice, the movie about Dick Cheney, played by Fat Batman. Not very good. And his movies tend to have this kind of serious and then silly tone. But Don't Look Up is very good, to be honest. It does have a few tonal problems, but mainly in the sense that Jonah Hill, who plays obviously a sort of a Donald Trump Jr. type, he's the son of the president, who's played by Meryl Streep, and he does give off sort of he's only there because his mum is the president. He's the chief of staff, but the only reason he's the chief of staff is because his mother gave him that job. Mommy gave her little boy a job. But he's improving like he's in Knocked Up, and it sort of takes me out of the movie. It took me out of the movie a little bit. But having said that, it is depressingly accurate in how people are reacting to the comet. The premise of the movie is there's a massive asteroid headed for Earth that is a planet killer. It's like 10 kilometers wide. It's going to hit the Earth and kill us all. And it's trying to get that message out while celebrities are getting engaged and people's attention spans are quite limited. And then when you do have their attention, their activism is simply just tweeting about it. Hashtag thoughts and prayers, save the planet. And it's quite good, and especially the last few scenes really kind of stuck with me and resonated with me on an emotional level. And it has some funny bits in it, but it's more of a satire in the sense of Doctor Strangelove is a satire, but even Doctor Strangelove, I would say, is funnier than this movie. There's another one, Wag the Dog, which is a movie with Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman, where they stage a fake war to distract from a president's infidelities. It's closer in tone to that movie that fuck all people have seen. And there's a bit of network in there as well. In the sort of, I don't know what to do about the Russians or the... all I know is I'm a human being. My life has meaning, damn it. Leo has a kind of a angry speech that he makes that's very reminiscent of Network. But I'd recommend Don't Look Up. I find it hilariously depressing, the reaction online to people. And what it is it's an escalation of hot takes. Because people, you got to have a hot take on something. You can't have this film was fine. You know, like my review of Don't Look Up is like a solid 7 out of 10. It's got some pacing problems. I think it sidelines the character that Jennifer Lawrence plays after about 45 minutes to an hour. She's kind of sidelined. And it makes sense for the character, and it makes sense in the story that they're telling. But at the same time, they could have streamlined it a little bit and made it a little bit better. Cate Blanchett is very funny in it. Meryl Streep is very good in it. Plays a buffoon and an arrogant cunt of a president, but she's still funny, and she has that authority. I don't think anyone else could have played that part. But yeah, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, which I know is a middling review. You have to either love it or hate it. But the weird takes that people have been dropping on social media, and I didn't tweet about it. It just seemed to be this thing where if you had a negative antigen test, you'd post a picture of it and say, Christmas time is here again. But I didn't want to post a positive or negative. I think I did on Instagram stories. I had a picture of me and Luke in our Christmas jumpers at the door, and Cara over 6 feet away wearing a mask. A very COVID Christmas. You there, boy? Me, sir? What day is it? Today? It's Christmas Day. No. I meant to say, what variant is it? Oh, Omicron. Good. I haven't missed the plague. Do you know the mask shop around the corner? Yes. Do you know the mask in the window? The big red mask in the shape of Santa Claus's face that covers my whole head? Go buy that mask for me, boy. Sorry, that was an excerpt from A Very COVID Christmas, which I didn't watch. But yeah, people's takes on Don't Look Up were of the variety. If you don't like this movie, you are a climate change denier, because the movie is about a massive asteroid headed for Earth, but it's a thinly veiled comment on climate change and our inaction towards said humanitarian and global crisis. And if you don't like the movie, then you don't like the planet. And I'm like, all right, it's a fucking movie. And if you do like it, it means that you love the planet, and you're... but like, at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, you're just fucking tweeting about it. And you're not... Like, what do you... If you have tweeted... like, why am I... I'm giving out to you now. If you've tweeted something like that, don't do that. Fucking do something practical. Write to your congressperson. Change your lifestyle. I mean, I think there is an element of that. Eating less meat, using less packaging, buying less things, less fast fashion, not just buying stuff on Amazon all the time. I mean, I've done it myself, but I think I bought maybe 2 things on Amazon in the past 5 years. I don't usually like to use those sites, But the sad fact of the matter is that it doesn't really matter what we do, because it's massive corporations, and they're not going to change. We've just been sort of duped into thinking, they're dumping millions of gallons of toxic waste, and crude oil is being spilled into the oceans, killing marine life. Meanwhile, don't drink out of plastic straws, guys. You're killing the planet. You got to drink out of those paper straws. And we're like, oh, okay. So I don't know. I don't know what you can do about it, but it's funny. It just seems to be a discussion about things rather than action, and the discussion is about the wrong thing a lot of the time, or it's like everyone's standing in a house that's on fire, and people are complaining about the exact temperature of the fire, and then some people are denying that there's a fire at all and saying it's just an optical illusion, and then other people are saying this isn't a house, it's a duplex, and meanwhile everyone is burning slowly to death, and at some point the structure of the house will be completely engulfed in flames, and it'll be too late, and everyone will have to fuck off and find another house to live in. But all the houses are caught in the same fire. Is this analogy working? I don't know. Anyway, what else did we watch? Last night we watched Being the Ricardos, the Aaron Sorkin, written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, about I Love Lucy, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz show, a kind of behind the scenes look at that. Pretty good. I know a lot of people were like, Nicole Kidman doesn't look anything like Lucille Ball. Well, she looks more like Lucille Ball than Javier Bardem does Desi Arnaz. Like, he looks nothing like Desi Arnaz. And Desi Arnaz was Cuban, and he's Spanish. There's actually a funny line where someone calls him Spanish accidentally. I don't know if it was written after he was cast. But if you like Aaron Sorkin stuff, it's good. If you like stuff about TV, and it's a bit, it does comment on women's roles in TV and how they should be perceived. And there's a conversation between Lucille Ball and one of the writers, played by the actor who played Maybe in Arrested Development, who's very good, and Tony Hale from Arrested Development and Veep is in there as well. So yeah, I would recommend that. That's I saw the new Book of Boba Fett as well, episode 1, and it was fine. To be honest, fuck all happened in it. It was grand. Now, before I leave you, this has been quite the ramble chat. I will say, rest in peace, Betty White. Poor Betty White. She would have been 100 on the 17th of January. She passed away just the other day. And also, Dennis O'Dell, who was the head of Apple Films. If you've seen Get Back, the Peter Jackson documentary, which I would highly recommend if you are a Beatles fan, if you're a documentary fan. I am a huge fan of music documentaries. I would watch a music documentary about anyone, even people I'm not fans of. I will watch a documentary about them because I just love that genre. The longer the better. And this was the longest music documentary I've ever watched. 8 hours of the Beatles working through their own personal issues and songs for the album Let It Be. Beautifully put together by Peter Jackson. I was listening to an interview with him. He didn't want to have any kind of talking heads from today, because that kind of takes you out of it. He cleaned up the 16mm footage. He took all the grain out of it because he wanted it to look like it was shot yesterday, and it looks like it was shot yesterday. There's two very, very funny bits in it that made me laugh, just for its kind of almost predicting the future, Paul says at one point, God, it'd be so funny if 50 years from now people go, they broke up because Yoko sat on a lamp, which is exactly what happened. People started to blame Yoko. And also, they got another member of the band in. Well, they've added a member of the band, Billy Preston, on keyboards, which kind of filled out the sound. And at one point, George says, or John says, I'd love to have a fifth member of the band. And George goes, I'd love to have Bob Dylan in the band. And they're laughing about this kind of supergroup that they're going to make. And then 20 years later, George formed the Traveling Wilburys with Bob Dylan and Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty and Roy Orbison. So all these things came to pass, and the Beatles lived happily ever after. Oh, hello. So also rest in peace potentially to the Queen, because I know Philippe passed away this year, and the Queen is 95, and she's withdrawn from public view. I thought her Queen's speech was delayed, I think, or it didn't happen this year. And I think that's because she was maybe going to have her consciousness put into a computer, like that movie Transcendence, starring Johnny Depp, that nobody has seen. So her speech would have been, this year there have been so many challenges. I have grown much older, so I will put my consciousness into a computer, like Johnny Depp in Transcendence, or the bad guy in that Captain America film. That reference is probably more recognizable to you than the original reference. Anyway, eat your fucking turkey sandwiches, bitches. I'm the fucking Queen.
It's Christmas time, baby, and you feel so fine, baby. Don't you wanna have some mulled wine? Think about it, think about mulled wine, mull over it. It's mulled wine, you can think about having it. That's why it's called mulled wine. Come on, baby. Do you want a Ferrero Rocher? Come on and have a Rocher or a truffle. Come on, don't get ruffled. It's time, sit down and drink some wine. Drink some more wine. Have you had enough wine? I don't think I've had enough wine. Baby, unwrap the presents. I put some glitter, I put a bow on it. I really got what you wanted. Yeah, it's a voucher all for one. You can spend it in a shop when you're done making love to me underneath the Christmas tree. Making love on the Christmas tree.
So, guys, that is the end of this holiday special, Christmas time special. I hope that you're all safe and sound. I hope that you're all feeling good this Christmas period. It is the silly season. It's the time of year where people leave the room at nighttime, stop, turn around and say, don't forget to plug out the tree. Yes, because keeping electrified trees indoors is all part of Christmas. It's all part of the Christmas spirit. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed the episodes that I've been putting out over the last year and beyond. I wish you all good tidings for the new year, good health, good luck, windfalls of money, and don't forget, if you do come into a large portion of money, don't forget who gave you all that luck in order for you to get the money in the first place. It was me, guys, me. So if you have a few 100,000 lying around, give it to me. I want it. If you could be so kind as to give me a Christmas present by leaving a review of this podcast on Apple or on wherever you get your podcasts. If you can you can give a 5-star review on Spotify now. If you want to follow me on Spotify and just click 5 stars underneath. Hey, if you had a podcast, I would give you a 5-star review. If you don't want to do any of those things, that's fine. Thanks very much for listening. I appreciate it. I'm sorry this episode was so long in coming out, but as I explained, it's been a very COVID Christmas. Check out the Cine Stream Club, which has an episode of The Muppet Christmas Carol. We talk in length about The Muppet Christmas Carol, which is not my favorite Christmas Carol adaptation. A lot of people have hot take. It's hot take escalation. People saying it's the best adaptation. Maybe that's true, but it's very good. Spoiler alert for that episode of the City Stream Club, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is Scrooged with Bill Murray. So, that's it, guys. That is the end of the episode. Let's finish with a song. Christmas time is the time of year when you have no fear, unless you're a turkey, in which case you'll probably be eaten, unless you order it from Super Value and it won't arrive on time for Christmas. Oh, Super Value, you've let us down. Maybe you're not eating turkey, maybe you're eating a goose, like Charles Dickens intended you to. Maybe you've got a cheese board, maybe you've got a starter before dinner. What's the point of a starter? You're eating a small slice of Parma ham before eating a child's weight in turkey. You're eating your own weight in turkey. If you're a child, and if you're not a child, then you're a fully grown human person eating a child-sized portion of meat. And maybe you're a vegetarian or a vegan, and you're eating a nut loaf, and you try and pretend that it tastes just like turkey from your childhood, but you know it doesn't. It tastes like nut, 'cause it's not something that I eat for Christmas, unless something is butchered and dyed and skinned and gutted and roasted. It doesn't taste as good. I hope you got everything you wanted for Christmas. I hope that Santa came, and if you don't believe in Santa Claus, I hope you still got presents, because when you're a child you wanna be good, because the morbidly obese, immortal gift man who lives in the North Pole and sometimes Lapland, it's confusing where he lives, but he gives you presents based on your behavior. If you're bad, you get a lump of coal. If you're good, you get everything that nourishes your soul. Things that you want for Christmas. And then when you find out he's not real, it's kinda shocking. Although you figured it out, you're growing up. You're no longer a child. You're a preteen, nearly a teen, and then you'll be a fully grown adult. There's no Santa Claus, but presents keep on coming. That's no problem. Keep them coming. What the fuck was the point of Santa Claus? Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It is the new year. Let's stop saying Happy New Year for 3 months. We should only say Happy New Year for the first 7 days of the new year. Then it's back to reality. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New